Okay, so the theme of this event is essence of Bhagavad Gita. And I was meditating on like what exactly is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Can you hear me clear, Prabhuji?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So as I was meditating, I remembered the incident during Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's yatra to South India. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji went to South India, he went to the Sri Rangam temple, and he met a Brahmana. And it is said that this Brahmana was illiterate, but he used to read Bhagavad Gita every day. And he not only used to read, but by reading Bhagavad Gita, he used to have real ecstatic symptoms, like tears would flow through his eyes, and and interestingly, like everybody around him, they knew that because he was illiterate, they used to make fun of him, but the Brahman never cared. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met this guy, he asked him, Brahmana, what is the reason that you're crying? So he said, Mahaprabhuji, I am illiterate. I can't read it. I don't know what to do, but I take this Bhagavad Gita and just, I look at the picture, and then I see that Krishna loves his devotee so much that he's willing to become a servant of his own devotee. And so, and I can see that because my Gurudev told me, and over the years, I am starting to get this more and more feeling that, that Krishna loves us so much. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and embraced him. He gave him the love of Godhead. He said, you are the one who understood the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And that's what we are all trying to do. We are trying to find what is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So the essence of Bhagavad Gita is effectively, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, is in just 2 lines. He said that you have 2 qualities. If you have these 2 qualities, you can understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And those 2 things are that we should be obedient to what our Gurudev has said. We should be following his words as it is. Even though we may not have the capability, but we should still be following whatever we have promised to our Gurudev. And the second thing what he said is that, that developing the love of God, that is the most important thing. Because once you start loving God, you will start loving each and everybody. You start getting the love for each and everybody. So, that's how I'll start the session today. So before I start, I'll also thank, I'll just do my prayers. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jay mudiret nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavate sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki om ajnana timbrandasya jnananjana shalakya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं श्री चैतन्य स्थापितामेन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकां वन्दे अहं श्री गुरु श्री युगपदकमलं श्री गुरुन् वैष्णवां च श्री रूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं साजीवं साद्वैतं स्वावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितां च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वंचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यसेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत्य गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So dear devotees, now let's go back to our main topic. What is the essence of Bhagavad Gita? So we started with this story of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going to the Sri Rangam temple and meeting with the Brahmana. And then he said that because he had the two qualities, that he should be submissive to Guru's orders and he should develop the love of the Lord, then that is the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita. So now, if you're looking, what is the objective of Lord Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita? So if we see that, that Bhagavad Gita is having 700 shlokas, and of the 700 shlokas, 574 shlokas have been spoken by Lord Krishna, and about 84 of them have been spoken by Arjuna, and about 41 of these have been spoken by Sanjaya, and one shloka has been spoken by Dhritarashtra. So that's how the 700 shlokas have been spoken. But what the main focus of the Lord while speaking Bhagavad Gita is that we should develop the love for him, and there should be a transformation in our character. So we start loving not only him, but all other living entities. We should have no hatred for anyone. The Brahmana who was in the Sri Rangam temple, even though people used to laugh at him, he had no hatred for them. So that's the objective of reading Bhagavad Gita, that we should develop the love of God, and we should start to realize his presence in each and everybody. And at the same time, we should start, having the love for each and every living entity. Now, as I said, the structure of Bhagavad Gita, it has 18 chapters in that, and there are 700 shlokas. And Lord Krishna spoke about 574 of the shlokas. Arjuna spoke 84, and Sanjaya spoke 41. Dhritarashtra spoke 1. So the way it is organized is like Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has compared this to a jewel box. So he says the first to 6 of these are the bottom portion of the jewel box, which is the Karma Yoga. The 13 to 18 are, the lid of the box, this jewel box.
I didn't do anything to it. Mushroom cheddar, make up, yeah. For my pizza, I got it ready all. Sorry, I made your dishes, but we didn't use it today, so it's ready for tomorrow then.
Nilesh Patel Prabhu, please. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So 1 to 6 are compared to the bottom of the Bhagavad Gita, and then 13 to 18 are compared to the lid of this jewel box, and the core, the crux, the jewel is from 7th to 12th chapters, which is the jewel sitting in this box. So that's the analogy which has been given by our Acharya Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So, I just discussed this. So now Bhagavad Gita discusses about the first 6 chapters are the Karma Yoga. You can turn off anybody here. Okay. Yeah. So the bottom 6 chapters are the Karma Yoga section, and the middle are the Bhakti Yoga, which is the jewel, and the top is the Jnana Yoga of this jewel box. So the interesting thing is, what is yoga? In today's definition, when you discuss yoga in material world, people think it is just exercises. We do some gymnastics, as Srila Prabhupada used to say, and people think, okay, doing this gymnastics itself is yoga. But no, that was just a small means by which we could control our body so that we could focus our mind on the Supreme. That was the objective. So yoga is coming from the Sanskrit word called plus. So currently we are minus, our consciousness is minus the Lord. So when we say yoga is our consciousness has become added or becomes plus with the Lord. That's when the yoga concept completes. So, so we see that the Karma Yoga is a concept where our consciousness is used to elevate ourselves to thinking of the Lord using our activities. Then similarly, Jnana Yoga is that when we gain knowledge, and using our knowledge, we are dovetailing our consciousness to achieve the Supreme. Bhakti Yoga is basically what we are doing is we are using our bhakti, our love, and by our love, we are trying to reach the Supreme. That is Bhakti Yoga. And Dhyana Yoga is just by meditating on the Supreme, we are trying to reach the Supreme. So these are the different types of yogas. So we discussed that. So now there are 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. The 5 main topics are: what is Jiva? Jiva is who am I? What is my position? Who is Ishvara? Who is God? What is Prakriti? What is this material world? What is Kala? That is time. And what is karma? So karma is action and reaction together. So of these, we see that the Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti, like these 3 are eternal. And the karma and the Kala, like they are not eternal. They are temporary. So going further, let's see. Okay. So it is said that Srila Prabhupada said that in today's world, people are very much eager to have one scripture, one God, one religion, and one occupation. So therefore, he gave this sutra from Gita Mahatma, which says, Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam. Let there be one scripture only, one common scripture for the whole world, and that is Bhagavad Gita. He said, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. Let there be one God for the whole world, and that is Lord Shri Krishna. Eko Mantrasya Tasya Namani, and one hymn, one mantra, one prayer, and that is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. And let there be only one work, only in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So basically, I will try to keep it short, considering the time limits we have. Okay, and now we will go on what is chapter 1. So this is the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita, like, even though it was spoken on the battlefield, it discusses mainly about life. If you read Bible or some other of these scriptures, so they talk a lot about the war and how and all those things that happened during the war. But when we are talking about Bhagavad Gita, it has only a few verses, and that also mainly during the first chapter, a few verses about how the armies were organized, observing the army. That's the only thing where we are discussing about the war. But other than that, the entire Bhagavad Gita talks about life, that how we should lead our life. Basically, it's a manual for leading our life. So when we go to first chapter, we see that there are 5 major topics discussed in this chapter. So it is Dhritarashtra's question to Sanjaya. Then Duryodhana compares the armies of basically his army with versus Pandava's army, and what are the signs of Pandava's army victory, and what was Arjuna's confusion, and what were the reasons Arjuna decided not to fight. So these are the whole chapter can be divided into 5 main topics. So the section 1 is Dhritarashtra's inquiry to Sanjaya. So it's a very interesting verse. I will read it, and if you want, all of us can repeat after that. Okay. So Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samveta Yutsava Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samveta Yutsava Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva Kim Akurvat Sanjaya. Anybody want to repeat?
Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsava Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya.
Anybody else? Okay, I think we'll carry forward, considering we have limited time today. So, yeah, I think Satyavam Mataji want to say something.
Go ahead, Satyavam.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामका पाण्डवाश्चैव किम् अकुर्वत संजय.
Thank you, Mataji. Anybody else? Okay, we'll go forward. Okay, so the synonyms for this is Dhritarashtra Uvacha. King Dhritarashtra said, Dharma Kshetra, in the place of pilgrimage, Kurukshetra, in the place named Kurukshetra, Samveta assembled Yutsava, desiring to fight. Mamaka, my party sons, basically, and Pandava, the sons of Pandu, Cha, and Eva, certainly, Kim Akurvat, did they do Sanjaya, O Sanjaya. So, I'll read the translation by Srila Prabhupada ji. The trust said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So it's just like saying, that we all are going to play a match, or maybe we are just going to have dinner together and we are all assembled around the dining table. So what will we do? Everything is ready. So we are just sitting and going to eat dinner. But what we see is that Dhritarashtra was having a lot of things going in his mind, So first thing is, we can see that this is like this text is being continued as part of the Mahabharata, the whole book, and this Bhagavad Gita is a part of section of that. That's one thing which is revealed from this. But more importantly, it is also revealing, this little verse reveals the mindset of Dhritarashtra, what type of mood he had. First of all, he used to think that these are my sons versus these are Pandu's sons, even though both belong to the Kuru dynasty. But he always was, that it is me versus Aham Mameti. Aham Mameti is like lot of time, it is me and mine. So, like as we said, like once we have the love for God, we develop the love for Godhead, we will leave our hatred for everybody. And that was the essence of Bhagavad Gita we discussed in the beginning, right? So basically, here the idea is that, that Dhritarashtra was still having the feeling, he was still doubtful, he was having anxiety in his mind, what my sons are going to do. Like, so basically, we see from this verse that what is his nature? His nature is to be greedy. Then he's in the anxiety, that he is, doubtful. Like he does not know what is going to happen, because he knows that what he's doing is wrong. And then he knows that Kurukshetra, which is a place of pilgrimage, there are a lot of reasons why it's a place of pilgrimage. So keeping the time in essence, we are not going to discuss that. But what his concern was that the place of pilgrimage may leave an impact on the minds of his son, that they may surrender voluntarily or they may just give away the kingdom to sons of Pandu. So they may compromise with Pandu, and he did not want it to happen. Or he was also worrying, like, maybe it is possible the sons of Pandu may compromise, and they may say, okay, you take the kingdom and go. So that would make him feel happy. So even though it's a starting of Bhagavad Gita, the small verse, but it interestingly reveals, Srila Prabhupada very nicely covers in the whole purport that the mindset of an evil person like Dhritarashtra, that he is always in anxiety. And interesting thing is that when we see that this Bhagavad Gita starts with dharma, that is the first word here of which is being mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. That the Bhagavad Gita starts with the first word of dharma, and the last verse of Bhagavad Gita, it ends in, mama, So, so if you see, yes, it says, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanodhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruva Netir Matir Mama. So basically the first verse, the first word of Bhagavad Gita and the last word of Bhagavad Gita, they are talking about, this is my religion, this is my dharma. So indirectly, Krishna, it's the whole Bhagavad Gita is what our dharma is, what we are supposed to do, what is our expectation, what we should be doing. Okay. So, so we did cover, that, that Dhritarashtra was greedy, he was doubtful, he was fearful, and he was hopeful. So these are what is going in his mind. We also see that, that we can see the nature of two people. Kunti had 3 sons, Yudhishthir and Arjuna and Bhima. And then Nakul and Sahadev, right? They were born to Madri, but she happily accepted them as her own sons, and she always made sure that there was no distinction done between the 5 of them. And even though she had no means to survive, she was literally somehow living there in this world. Whereas Dhritarashtra, who had the entire kingdom, he had 100 sons, and he could not accept 5 more of them as his own son. He could not treat them with impartiality, So he was always having this evil mindset in him. So these are the few things which we see. Okay, so the other question is, if Krishna could go about and he could kill all the demons, in Vrindavan and in Mathura and in Dwarka, he could kill. So why did he not decide to directly go and kill the Kauravas if he wanted to? So it is said that because Lord Krishna wanted to give the credit to his devotee Arjuna and his, and the Pandavas. So that's the reason he decided that it should be done by them and not him. So yeah, other important thing is that Krishna, as he mentions in 4th chapter, that his objective to take the birth is to remove the adharma from the world. And he took in Kurukshetra, in this field of Kurukshetra, he uproots the sons of Dhritarashtra, who were, who were evil-minded and who were adharmic. So let's go forward. So now we go to section 2. So section 2, we see that Duryodhana's fear and diplomacy in describing the army. Now, Duryodhana knows that he did not, Duryodhana's army was 11 Akshayoni. I'm forgetting the exact number of an Akshayoni, but it's a huge, huge number. And it comes into several millions. And the Pandava army was 7 Akshayoni. In fact, both the armies together were about 353 million men. So it is like the entire population of United States is 330 million. Whereas you can just imagine that the Mahabharata war was fought in 353 million men fighting together. So that is the strength of the 2 armies. That is 18 Akshayoni is equal to 353 million. So you can imagine it's like a sea of warriors who were there. And Duryodhana never imagined, that once the Pandavas will be coming out of after 13 years of Vanvas, they would be able to accumulate an army so huge. So he was, he had this fear in his mind at the time. But at the same time, he does not want to show it at the same time, he is also trying to increase the, motivation, the mood of his army so that they're willing to fight. So he's going and talking to Drona. So he goes to Drona and says, Sanjaya said, "O king, after looking over the army arranged in the military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words." So basically, he goes and, he has been called Raja by Sanjaya here. Why? Because he was having this diplomacy, he had a diplomatic mindset, Rajniti, that's why he has been called Raja, not because the Raja was even though Dhritarashtra, but he is being called Raja here because of the Rajniti he used to do all the time. So, and he was trying to tell, Duryodhana, Dronacharya, you have trained Drishtadyumna, and you know that this guy has been born by just to kill you, and you have still trained him. And now see that how these guys are here to fight against us and take over the victory from us. So he discusses this with Dronacharya. He also discusses about, he says, "Oh, my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada." The Drishtadyumna is the son of Drupada. That's what he is pointing to. We will not be able to go through each and every verse, but I'm just picking up the main verses here. So then he compares the army that he is discussing from verse 3 to 6. He discusses that Bhima, Arjuna, Virata, Drupada, Abhimanyu, these are the main warriors. They are the Maharathis, and a Maharathi used to be a person who could fight up to 10,000 warriors at the same time. And then they had something called Atirathi, who could fight up to 50 to 60,000 warriors at the same time. So like Arjuna and Bhishma, like these were always the category of the Atirathis. He talks about them. Then we have on his side, he discusses about Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama. He is telling that these are the main heroes on my side versus these are the heroes on the other side. He's trying to, now he wants to increase the mood of his army, the morale of his army, so that they can, fight. So, and then as we know that Bhishma goes and he blows the conch shell. So the blowing of the conch shells, happens. But when the Pandavas blow their conch shell, there is fear, in the heart of the Kurus, the 100 brothers of, the sons of Dhritarashtra, because they had evil in their heart. So they were, because Krishna was not on their side, and so they were always having a sense of, an unease, and that, that even though that their army is smaller, but they can still overtake us. So that is visible just by the conch shell, the first sign of the victory is coming here, that the Pandavas are likely to be victorious. So we go further. So fourth section is, now Arjuna observes the armies. So when he observes the army, he goes into emotion and confusion. So at that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag mark with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. So basically, now Arjuna knows who he is to fight. But here Prabhupada is mentioning the importance of, the flag marked with Hanuman. So he gives he tells that the emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory. Both Rama and Hanuman were on Arjuna's chariot. Rama as Lord Krishna. In his previous birth, he was Lord Krishna. His previous birth, Krishna is as Rama. And Hanuman, he was the most important hero of the battle against Ravana. So that just by their presence, and there were enough signs of victory for the Pandava army. So Arjuna said to Krishna, "O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms." So Arjuna is observing the army and he is calling Krishna as Achyuta. Achyuta as the infallible one. Achyuta, who does not fall down. So and who also loves his devotees a lot. So Achyuta, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Krishna is Achyuta because he never fails in his affection for his devotees. And thus he is addressed herein as infallible. When Krishna finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is infallible, master of all in all circumstances. So Lord Krishna Hrishikesha drew the chariot between the two armies. So in presence of Drona, Bhishma, Drona, and all other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. So these are the first words spoken by Lord Krishna. He's starting here even it's not in a full shloka, but it's just a few words where he just opens his lotus mouth. And Arjuna sees, what does he see? He sees that there are fathers like Bhurishrava, their grandfathers like Bhishma, Somdatta, teachers like Drona, Kripacharya, uncles like Shaulya, Sakuni, brothers like Duryodhana, Vikram, Vikarna, others, sons like Lakshmana, Kumaras and others, grandsons, sons of Lakshmana, friends, Ashwathama, father-in-laws like Drupada, well-wishers like Kritvarma. So now he is thinking whether he started to imagine what's going to happen because of this war, and he started to worry that because of him, there is going to be he could be the cause of killing so many of his own relatives. So what happens is now question arises, if what he's doing is good or bad. Is killing like a soldier or killing like a terrorist, what is good, what is bad? So Arjuna now, based on his thought, he starts to take the path of non-violence. He's starting to think about non-violence because he's thinking that it is not going to help. Why? Then he gives his reasons why he wants to go to non-violence. So he's giving his reasons why he does not want to fight. So he has 4 reasons. First of all is compassion. Then he is saying there is going to be no enjoyment. So compassion that these people will be killed, so just because he wants to enjoy, others will be killed. And then without his family and friends, how will he enjoy the life? Then he also has fear of sins. And at the same time, he is worried about that the families of all these soldiers, of all these men, everything will be destroyed, and the family traditions will be destroyed. So Arjuna starts giving reasons as why he should not fight. So such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to the weakness, but due to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. That's what Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport. So because of compassion, we see that his limbs are quivering, his mouth is drying up, his body is trembling, his hairs are standing, bow is slipping, skin is burning. He says, I can't stand. His mind is reeling, and he's seeing misfortune because he's trying to see what is going to happen to the whole dynasties. Everything is going to be destroyed. So compassion for his relatives and the resultant bodily symptoms. So excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such bewildering condition. Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. One's real self lies in Vishnu or Krishna. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pain. Srila Prabhupada writes it here. So he says that, I have no desire for kingdom. That's the second reason he says. I do not see any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. So it says, Govinda, of what avail to us kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those who are arrayed here are desiring to fight? Then he addresses Krishna as Govinda. Arjuna says that because you are Govinda, you should satisfy the senses. So he's telling Krishna that that Krishna, you should say some things which should satisfy my senses, because I am getting so overwhelmed. I'm getting so bewildered here. So he says there is going to be no enjoyment, no desire for kingdom, no pleasure without relatives. So I would rather not fight. I'll go a little faster. The third reason he says is sins will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. And therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of goddess of fortune? How could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? So Srila Prabhupada explains what is an aggressor. So aggressor means aggressors are of 6 kinds. Like one who gives poison, which had happened for Bhima, who sets the fire to house, Lakshagraha situation, then attack with weapons. When Bhima was attacked, plundering of riches, like Duryodhana and his party, they took away the riches of the Pandavas. They occupied their land, they kidnapped their wife, So all those things we see. Similar situation had, even between Rama and Ravana. Ravana kidnaps Ram's wife. But, that does not mean that, that one leaves the path of dharma and just to be humble and show thing that is incorrect. That's what Srila Prabhupada is explaining in detail here. So he's saying he's fearing sins. So sin in killing aggressors, greedy men see no fault in killing relatives, but we do. The fourth reason is harmful effects of destroying the family traditions. So what would happen is the dynasties of there will be destruction of dynasty, as we know that entire dynasties will be destroyed, family traditions will be destroyed, and because the elders are not there to guide the youngsters, adharma will increase in the family, children will be spoiled, and then the worship and everything will be lost. So this is a very logical reason what Arjuna is trying to say. So it is like, more detailed is like a destruction of the dynasty, family tradition stops, religion increases, women become polluted, unwanted progeny by mixture of the castes, then it causes hellish life for those who destroy the family and family traditions. Forefathers will be deprived of pinda offerings for food and water, so they will fall down. Community projects and family welfare activities will be destroyed. So that is the fourth reason, which is again logical according to Arjuna. But again, Arjuna is thinking from his perspective. He is not thinking on the bigger perspective that that his nature, he is a Kshatriya, and as a Kshatriya, he will not be able to tolerate this but he is overwhelmed, and it is Krishna's will that he becomes overwhelmed. Arjuna would never have become overwhelmed. It's Krishna wanted to make Arjuna the medium, the instrument by which he could give this knowledge to us. So I'll go a little faster here. So saying this, Arjuna says, cast aside his bow, and he says, Sanjay says, Arjuna having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrow and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So we see a confused Kshatriya, a soft-hearted Vaishnava. That's what Arjuna is. So we see that Bhagavad Gita ends with the 18th, in 18th chapter, 78th shloka, which says, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also be certainly opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. That's what Sanjay is saying here. So, dharma mama. So, with that, I will I'll open the floor for any questions and answers.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Everybody can unmute yourself and ask question. Please go ahead, dear devotees. Anybody would like to add some reflections, concerns, comments, questions? It's the time to. We have 3 more minutes. Arjuna Prabhu, are you going to ask any questions or reflections? Otherwise, can move. Okay. Thank you, Sankarshan Prabhuji. It was very powerful speech, giving the sense of
Thank you so much. Before I go, I'll just like to thank Gaurang Darshan Prabhu. I took his notes, and that were very helpful. So most of the slides which you see are coming from his notes. So thank you again for giving me the opportunity. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sankarshan Prabhu. Just one question, maybe you may want to elaborate. How can we come out from this doubting and lack of faith kind of mentality as Arjuna going through? Maybe you want to elaborate a little more next 2 minutes. Thank you.
It's a very good question, Prabhuji. Actually, the reason of losing faith or getting into confusion is mainly because most of us are on the material platform. So we need to consult a guru, like, or somebody, a senior person or a senior Vaishnava, or even our parents or somebody who is knowledgeable. Otherwise, we are very much likely to, take wrong decisions, because it's just like, because we are under the three modes of material nature. So we are bound, and when we make a decision, our decision is narrow, is like the blinkers on the eyes of a horse. He does not see what is happening. So a person who sees the whole thing happening, who sees the 360-degree, and then he sees where this person is standing and what he is trying to achieve, only such a person can guide. We definitely need a guide who can help us. And that's what I see, what happens on the second chapter, 7th verse, that Arjuna, then he realizes that, that he is bewildered, he's confused. So he requests Krishna to become his guru, a master. That's what I'll be my brief answer, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Prabhu, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Sankarshan Prabhu. Now it's turn to Subal Prabhu. Please go ahead, Prabhuji. Well,